Hello, and today I'm with Adam Yaras from Elite 2A Pay, and we're going to be talking about some of his company's offerings and what they have going on. Adam, how are you today?
I'm doing well, sir. How about you?
I'm doing great. So tell me a little bit about Elite 2A Pay, like your history. I know you guys have been around actually for over 20 years. Is that right?
Yeah, 22 to be exact. Elite 2A Pay wasn't around then, and I'll kind of give you the origins of everything. So Elite Merchant Solutions is our parent company. That was started in California about 22, almost 23 years ago. And back then, it was whatever we could sign up, we're going to bring on, right? Whether it's hotels, restaurants, you name it, we're going to try and work on it. Within the last 4 years, I would say, is when we really honed in on the two-way space. I myself am pretty passionate when it comes to firearms. Is probably a bit of an understatement. So I was looking at some verticals within things that we like and things that actually are have hard times with, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, of having issues, whether it's high pricing or getting dropped or not even getting a set up for an account at all. And so we looked at it as, hey, we can board these accounts. So let's go full force. So that was kind of the origins of when Elite stemmed off with this separate kind of bucket, so to speak, of Elite 2A Pay.
Okay, I got you. And then I guess, and that's kind of a big problem. So it's kind of interesting because you already were a company that were, established or establishing, and then you saw the need because there is a need for people and businesses to be friendly towards and what do the banking industries refer to them as, high risk businesses, right?
Got it.
So you
Yep.
guys kind of stepped up to the plate and said, well, wait a second, we should be servicing, more or less our people, right?
100% correct. So the high risk world, and to people listening, and to anyone that's gonna actually read it, and they kind of know a little bit of it, because we talk about it a lot. But high risk is designated for accounts that really need to pay more in order to have an account set up. And what I mean by that is you're talking about the adult entertainment world, right? Strip clubs, pornography, medicinal marijuana, CBD, vape, gambling, travel, online supplements, all that stuff is high risk. And there's so many different reasons why, but the biggest one is the probability of someone calling their bank and saying, hey, I didn't make that charge, right? And that's something called a chargeback. Firearms. You have guns, I have guns. When we go and buy a gun the proper way, we do a 4473. We go through the channels where we're literally having the government look at if we're able to leave that store with that gun, right? So the likelihood of me calling my credit card company saying, "Hey, I didn't buy that Glock 19X," is extremely low, right? So to have a gun or a gunsmith or a range in the same category as one of those other ones I just, labeled is just completely unfair, right? Our Constitution says this is our right, and for it to be looked at as an evil and saying, "Hey, you have to pay more for something that is our God-given right," is just completely asinine, to tell you the truth. So
Yeah.
we looked at this as, hey, our back end, our bank allows us to offer pricing that will allow them not to have to pay double, triple, even quadruple sometimes of what our competition may or may not offer them.
Yeah.
So
And
does
then
that
you
make
guys
sense?
are you guys are doing basically credit card processing, and that's your whole shtick, right?
That is it. Yeah. So, I mean, pretty much that's the way of the world right now. Everything's digital. I mean, I don't know about you, but anytime I go somewhere, I'm either going to use my card, or my phone that now has the ability. And that's whether if I go to the range, which I'm going to do today, or if I, take my family to a movie, it's all done via credit card. And so a lot of these businesses, they rely on that income, that money to sell their product.
And then I looked online, and you guys have a lot of things that you offer, point of sale system. So you have the hardware, but you also have the software. Now, I mean, you sign people up at a brick and mortar location. I think that's great. You have that credit card processing capability. So talk a little bit about those terminals, and then we'll get into some of the other stuff that I think, what makes you kind of unique as well.
Sure. So, John, we actually, unlike a lot of our competition out there, we will take on new business, but we primarily focus on existing. And there's many reasons why, but the main one is we know if they've been in business for 10, 15, 20 years that they're in good standing and we don't have to worry about what their volume's going to be, if they're going to last a few months. So when a business, let's say a gun range or a gun store, or sometimes they're both, has existing equipment, 9 times out of 10, we don't even have to replace it. We just get in there through technology and re-download what they have. So really, we're not ripping and replacing much. We're saying,
Right.
hey, keep what you have on the front end, but on the back end, that money that you're paying, that's 4 or 5, 6%, we're going to cut that, down in half or if not more. So equipment's a very small portion of what we do. If an account needs something like a new terminal, something mobile, or a point of sale, we have that ability to offer it. But anyone who's switching over, we try and keep what they have intact. So you don't have to have that whole craziness of change, because let's face it, not a lot of us like
Right.
change, right? So we're trying to simplify it and make it as fluid as possible. Is keep your front end. We're going to just change the back end.
And you guys also offer quite a bit of integration with like e-commerce as well, right?
100%. So a lot of these gun stores have now added their gun store on the internet as well as gun broker. So all of those components we're able to integrate into, and actually those are the easiest ones to turn over. It's funny to think that sometimes people think, oh, it's all this headache. It's really a flip of the switch. We reuse their gateway and things really don't change other than the service and the cost is going to go down.
Sure. Now I'm going to ask a question, and I didn't really read anything about this. You and I didn't discuss this. We didn't discuss this in Vegas, but where my mind goes is, what about instructors? So I know there's in your FAQs you talk about FFLs, and yes, if you're selling firearms, you need an FFL. If you need to be
Yep.
licensed if you're dealing with some of these items. But what about like your mom and pop firearm instructor? They don't have a brick and mortar location, but they're getting started. Do you guys do some processing for them? And because I see this as being a huge way to bring in revenue, honestly.
Yeah, 100% instructors all day long. They don't have FFLs for the most part because
Right.
they're not selling a serialized item. However, when they do brand or publish their names, their site, what's going to be on their banners on their
Right.
website, guns, rifles, people actually putting, rounds down range. That in the eyes of a lot of these when I say processors, they're more technology processors, and I'll just say the names: PayPal, Stripe, Square Up. Those guys, even if you're not selling an actual serialized item, they don't like that. So
Right.
they will possibly might take you on, but at any moment in time, they can drop you. I've seen it. I've heard it. I've lived it where we've had plenty of accounts where we've called them, hey, I'm doing all right. I'll be all right. Boom, they call us a month or two later. Hey, I got shut down by Square. So to answer your question, 100% instructors fall into this category because they are dealing with firearms. They're not FFLs per se, but they are still affiliated with our world, our 2A space. So we take those guys on all day long for
Sure. So
sure.
then, like when Bob Smith instructors like, hey, what kind of solutions do you have for me? You could do simple stuff that's just e-commerce based, basically, where they're emailing invoices or texting those invoices. A lot of the same things that you would see with some of the other options that are out there, but you don't have to have hardware, right?
100% correct. So instructors, I've been a part of on the student side, right? I've done plenty of courses where some you pay on site and they have a reader, that attaches to their phone, or I pay ahead of time, or a mixture of both. But yes, we have systems that can send out text to pay, email to pay, You can go on their site, they'll have a shopping cart, or they want to have that mobile reader for, I had a guy that when I got my LTC in Texas, coming from California, it was a whole different ball game. It was actually incredible. I got, my license in a couple of weeks, but he was selling 22 cal because he just did his test. And, it's not expensive, but people needed rounds because they didn't bring a 22 with them. He had a mobile reader. I after the class talked to him about switching over, which he did. But yeah, I mean, there's ways where you can pay in person as well. So whatever it is they need, we can make it happen for
And
sure.
I think that's great. And since I mean, because you're now Elite 2A pay that was built upon this former business, so you're not saying, oh, you have to be in the firearms industry either. You'll process for, whomever, right?
100%. Yep.
Okay, cool.
I have anyone you could, I mean, through the years of doing this, John, about 16 years, everyone that I've ever come across that I do business with, whether it's a dry cleaner, a restaurant, a trophy company, uniforms for my kids' sports, I always look for the opportunity to try and help them because, why not? Yeah, firearms are my number one and that's our passion, but yeah, anything that accepts credit card, any business we can take on for sure.
Perfect. And then those fees, because that's really a big thing here. Toss me some comparisons here. So why do we want to do Elite 2A pay rather than some those, other than the fact that you can get canceled like at a drop of a
Yeah.
hat? Let's talk about the money.
So the money it's all customized, right? And the reason I say that is we don't blanket our rates like a lot of those technology processors do. Like you go to Square and they say your card present rate is 2.6 plus 30 cents and your card not present is 3.5. So we have a plan where it's basically we're passing on the cost of the card brands, right? Where we have costs through them and then we have a small markup. But to kind of just put it in a high level, our effective cost is in the mid to high twos versus our competitors are 3, 4, sometimes even 5 or 6%. So
Sure.
we're steady in the twos. Sometimes it could be even lower. But it depends on the product as what they sell. A range that is doing a lot of rentals and ammo sales, people are more inclined to use their debit card. And then you have those high-end gun stores where, hey, you're selling scars and staccatos and Nighthawks. I'm going to use probably a card that's, going to get me miles or points, and that card's a little bit more expensive. So it's a safe bet to say we're in the twos. It's just a matter of what side of that too.
Sure. Yeah. And I've seen all kinds of different ranges with that. Well, I think that's really great. And obviously, you're pro Second Amendment, pro liberty. You've got great customer service. That's something that I've noticed from even just calling your office. You guys are like
Sure.
on it.
Yeah.
As myself, just calling you guys just to, get an audience. What else do you guys have, I guess, coming down the line? Is there anything new that you're releasing or you're going to release, or what else do we want to talk about before we wrap up?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things we got going on. I won't bore you with every little nook and cranny detail, but partnerships for softwares and point of sales are coming down the bend. A lot of these guys, when they have their point of sale, they want to connect to Fastbound. They want their bound books to be dialed in with the point of sale. We're currently working on that with a couple guys that actually they own firearm ecom and stores, so they know that side of it, and then we know our side, and we're kind of working, in the middle on to make that work. And then we're starting to do stuff like this, man, podcast shows. We're meeting people. There's the NRA coming up. End of April, we'll be there. We'll have our booth, and then GOA, we're for sure locked and loaded for that in August. I went last year just to walk and had a great time. I've been a member of GOA for a long time, so those are the kind of things that coming down the bend. But nothing too special, but kind
Okay.
of exciting for us.
All right.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that too on your site. You're very above the fold. You're like, hey, we support these groups. And I'm sure it's not, exclusive that it's just those groups, but you do put that out there. Hey, we support SAF, we support GOA, we support the NRA. Now, we have a lot of different, 501c3s, 501c4s that are out there. Do you guys do anything special with those guys to kind of help them out, or what do you do there?
100%. That's a great, great question. So we have done that even outside of the firearm world, but what we do is give back, right? Where we've been a part of a bunch of different associations. There's been travel, there's been actually funeral home, restaurants. There's associations all over the US for these industries, including the ones you just described for the industry that we care about the most. So what we do is we give back, right? And that could look as here's a percentage back of, back to the association or to the 501 3C. So or we pay for dues, or we have certain ways where we can customize it however we want. So to answer your question with my long answer, yes, we can 100% do
No.
that and customize it for sure.
Well, I think that's important to get out there because a lot of these gun clubs, a lot of these civil rights organizations, they're all C3s, they're all C4s, they're all also many of them running on a shoestring budget. So letting them know that
Yep.
this is a safe space to do processing, I think is important. So if you're out there and you're part of a member organization, definitely consider these guys because I think it sounds like you've got their back.
We do, man, and I shout from the rooftop. I've had a lot of conversations with some of the big names some of the guys you've talked about just a few minutes ago, and then some ones that you haven't that you know very well. And um, sadly, and I'll just say it is they're connected with some of the ones that are not friendly to what we're all about, like those big techs that literally give money to our opposition, to these to the left side that wants to take away our rights. So I'm screaming from the rooftop. That's why I love that you're able to let me on here, John, is that these big guys, they sometimes they don't even really realize it or understand it. But yeah, we would love the opportunity for so many different reasons. But the big one for me, and again, I'm very freaking candid, man. I stopped one of my memberships for something because their connection with one of those bigger guys, and they talked to me, but ghosted me. And I said, you know what? I can't stand by idly and just be okay with me giving you my money, knowing it goes to that opposition. So I'm passionate, man. I really am. But yeah,
Right.
anyone out there, 5-1, yeah, sorry. Anyone out there that those ones that you talked about, I know them well. I'm a member of a bunch of them, but we would love the opportunity for sure. For
No,
sure.
awesome. Well, Adam, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you? Are you on socials? Let's get everything out there. Give me the full alphabet of Elite 2A Pay. I want people
Okay.
to be able to, who do they call? Like let's get people hooked up here.
Yeah, absolutely. So elite2apay.com is our website. You can go there and you can go to our contact page, and that would actually come to myself and a couple of the other owners. We have full visual on that. If you want to contact me direct, I am at adamy elite2apay.com. That's my email. Um, for me, I'm not a big social media guy. I did start one not too long ago. I just did underscore elite defense underscore. I have 50 followers and they're all clients. It's no big deal. But our social media for Elite 2A Pay is Elite 2A Pay. I don't think there's any special characters or whatnot, but we're starting to do some more with that. So those are the four, I would say. I think I got them.
Oh, that's perfect, Adam. Did I leave anything out? Did I leave anything on the table that we
No,
want to
man, I
let people know
appreciate
about?
you. No, I mean, it's just really the big thing, John, is a lot of times when we initiate this conversation, um, a lot of merchants have dealt with, even a lot of the gun ones, they deal with a lot of, I don't want to say bad companies, but ones that do things way different than we do. They say, here's a deal, you have to sign up, and they jam it down their throat, and they assume that they have to switch with us. I just want an opportunity to showcase what we can do. And it just starts with like what you just said is you called in, you got me within seconds. You didn't go through a whole, bounce around. The girl who answered the phone is, a stone's throw away from me. And we're just an opportunity is all I ask, just to have a conversation. And if you like us, great. If not, we're gonna still keep trucking and so will they. But the opportunity is the biggest thing. So that's it.
Well, Adam, thank you so much. Elite 2A pay. You guys will want to check that out. And I appreciate your time.
Likewise. Thank you, John.